Have you ever had one of those weeks where nothing goes right and others where everything just flows? Hi, and welcome back to Cosmic Fitnesse, where we align fitness and wellness to our planet. So, I want to talk about how astrology can help us plan ahead for a lot of events because I am convinced that we have free will and we can use it to go after our goals. But I also know that there is a part that is actually a done deal in the sense that you can call it what God has already planned for you, or the universe, or as I interpret it, in the sense that before reincarnation, our souls already chose to learn different lessons and have a particular experience here on earth. And that's why I call it a done deal. So it's like you have sealed that deal already, and now you have to act on it. But back to the scope of this video. So to be able to plan ahead, I have created a weekly forecast that I deliver in a free newsletter. And by the way, if you want it, send me your email and I'll send it to you right away, and you'll find everything down below to ask for it. I usually send it out on Sundays so that we all have time to get out our agendas and see what we want to do for the next week. And based on what's favorable and what's not, plan and write down everything we need. I want to explain also another concept, which in my opinion is the fact that it's very important, and is the fact that time is not linear, but rather it's cyclical. And that also leads to the fact that cycles repeat themselves just like history. And I'll explain what I mean by that right away, because in astrology we have transits, because planets are not fixed, they move all the time. Some planets move like quicker and some planets move slower. But for example, let's say you have Jupiter in your 11th house when you're in your 30s. No, wait, let's start with if you have it when you're a child. When you're a child, Jupiter in your 11th house, which is friendships and acquaintances. When you're a child, it might look like, you play with your friends and you have like really close friends around you. While when you're more mature, over 30, it may look like you are more connected to a network of people with which you're not intimate friends, but they may be there for you when you need them in different circumstances of life, either in career, by neighborhood, or by really being just friends. So anyway, as you see, there is a cycle, there is a pattern, but it's just slightly different because it cannot be like a repetition of everything. We can't live the same day over and over again, right? So anyway, I would like to point out how people can also plan their lives using astrology, for example, using the lunar cycles. And that is something very overlooked, but it can actually be really simple to see, because let's say if you have a full moon in Aries now, in 6 months you're going to have a new moon in Aries. And that means that you have a period of 6 months where you can understand what has come to an end and what's beginning now. And also what's beginning now is going to come to an end in 6 months. Okay? So it's like every 6 months there's this cycle, that continues to begin and continues to end. So that means that you have a timeline of 6 months where you can understand this. If you start something new, you are going to see some fruit of some result of what you have planted now in 6 months. And that is something that you really should keep in mind, in order to plan ahead. This is how it can actually be really helpful to have like in front of you the calendar of each week, because it could tell you all this kind of stuff. Also, for example, eclipses can help you predict how an event is going to manifest into your life, because we have 2 corridors of eclipses every year. And that means that there are going to be, within those periods of time, there are going to be some major changes that you could actually, if you know about them, of course, you could actually do something about them. Like, for example, if you know that you're going to have an eclipse happening in your 10th house, and it might mean, like, for example, there's going to be a shortage of some kind in your work. So maybe some people are going to be laid off. And if you know about this, maybe what you could try is to look a little bit more organized, to look your best, maybe better than usual, if you plan to stay in that job. But for example, if you know that you already don't like that job, and you know that that eclipse is going to happen in your 10th house, then you're probably going to want to look for a new job, because in the next corridor of eclipses you are going to have actually the result of what will happen. Anyway, now let's take some real life examples of how to use my free newsletter. So as you can see, I just took out what I wrote for Wednesday, November the 5th, 2025, which is the day where the full moon in Taurus is going to happen. The energy for the day is very grounding and stabilizing, and after the 2 days with Aries energy, this full moon in Taurus invites to pause and relax and feel the body, and maybe enjoy good food, why not, and comfort. So Taurus energy is like a type of energy that reminds us that rest and pleasure are part of wellness too. So since my newsletter is a brief forecast about the main energy of the day, I didn't write all the transits, but for example, we have a very tense aspect between Mars and Uranus, and that could cause a lot of nervousness and stress and accidents and this kind of stuff, because both Mars and Uranus are very electrifying energies that invite to really fast action, sometimes aggressive actions. So that is also like a little bit complementary with the Taurus full moon, because all those energies, for all those energies, what I would advise is the same thing. Try to relax, do not engage in fights, and do everything to just maintain like a grounding energy, and not let yourself be led by different kind of stressful events. Instead, if we look, for example, at Saturday, November 8th, the moon is in Gemini. What I wrote here is that this energy is all about curiosity and multitasking. So because the energy is a little bit scattered, because you would like to do a lot of stuff, maybe what you should do is channel this energy to reorganize, clean the space, because that helps you like do a lot of small actions, different actions all at the same time, and that coincides with the Gemini energy. And for example, what I wrote for the Taurus energy day, I wrote that you should, in what regards fitness, I wrote that you should try to do stretching, yoga, and mainly activities that are not very stressful and nervous, right? Well, for the Gemini energy day, I actually wrote to try a coordination workout, circuit training, or something that makes you feel alert. So as you can see, the energies are very different, and I advise very different stuff. So anyway, this is to say that astrology is not necessarily about prediction, because we're not like, I don't know, witches or whatever, but it's more about preparation, because I think astrology is a tool that can actually help us live a better life. Because why do you prepare for an exam? Why do you study and repeat stuff by heart? Because you want to be ready and present yourself at your best. right? So that's how I see it in life using astrology. When you know what has most probability to happen, then you can make your own educated decisions which will be in sync, and that makes it at least 70-80% more likely to succeed in what you want to achieve, right? You don't want to really go blindly in life and just, do whatever you feel like and then try to cope with whatever the result is going to be. You cannot just let yourself, be led by the energies of the day, especially because if you let yourself be led by the energies of the day, sometimes it can make everything 100% worse. And that is also something that I say in my readings, because I first go and see what we have in the bag, that means in the chart, and then see how we can work with what we have. Another example I can give, like, you cannot prepare a meal if you don't know what ingredients you need, because what if you miss one of them? So the same goes for my personalized fitness programs, because once we know our qualities and we know our blind spots, we can work around those and still get what we want. And also, I think it's important to understand that a lot of people are not good at planning. Maybe a lot of people know what they want, but they don't know how to get there because they don't have an actual plan to get what they want. I think that if you actually sit and plan for stuff, or think about what you need in order to achieve what you want, then maybe you could be more successful in whatever area you want. I never understood why people are afraid, or people who are afraid of knowing stuff about themselves or the transits, because, for example, if you're afraid, you still have to go through it. So, it doesn't take away the event, okay? Since you have to go through it anyway, might as well prepare for it. In this sense, I'm also preparing a video course in which I will teach about this. This course is not ready yet, but soon it will be available. I'm making it because so many people need help, and because maybe a lot of people don't have time or are not in the mood to make a plan, especially an actionable one. So anyway, I just wanted to help where I can, because I have an ease with making plans and lists, because I have a lot of Virgo energy, and I know not everybody is like that. So this is like the first way in which I want to help with my course. A lot of people, once they have the plan, they're good to go. And because of that, thinking about the fact that I could actually provide a plan makes me really happy. Anyway, enough about the course. I will let you know when it will be ready, but I want to close by saying, go and get my free newsletter, and then you will already have a plan for short term, that is for the week ahead, and you'll see how much more easy will make your life when you know all the data before everybody else. So anyway, this is all I had for you today. Until the next time, stay grounded, stay safe, and especially, more than anything, stay cosmic. I will see you very soon. Bye.